Hey book buddies, Katie here, and today I'm going to be vlogging myself reading Twilight, I guess. I know that everyone's already read this book. It came out in 2005. Everyone remembers the craze. If you haven't read this book, it's probably just because you don't want to. The long and short of all of this is that I read Twilight, the first one, when I was 12. And I only read the first book. It was this whole big thing because all of my friends loved it and were obsessed with it, and my mom didn't want me to read it yet. She wanted me to wait until I was a little older, like 16 or so, to start reading them, but all of my friends were reading them, and you know if you tell your child they're not allowed to read a book, they're gonna read it. So I stole Twilight from my mom's room and I read it in like a day in secret. I remember I was unimpressed with it, but I don't remember much else. And then I went to pick up the second one and then I just thought, you know, is it really worth the trouble of sneaking around my mom to read this? Because I don't really care about the story. So yeah, and then I just never read the others. I've seen the movie, the first one, and I've seen the first movie a lot because it's like a guilty pleasure. I think it's hilariously bad, and I love that there's a blue tint over everything, and I've always maintained and will always maintain that the soundtracks to these movies are just phenomenal. But the second and third movie, I only saw each of those once with my mom, actually. It's weird because she wouldn't let me read the books, but she wanted me to see the movies with her. And I never saw either of the Breaking Dawn movies, so I have no idea what happens in that one. I've just felt behind because everyone and their dog has read Twilight, and I just never did. So I thought that it would be entertaining for me and for you if I just read them. So yeah, for your viewing entertainment, Twilight. Also, just before I start, I think you guys need to know that my mom got rid of her books, so I couldn't borrow them from her. I had to go to the library, which would be fine, except that I used to work at the public library in my town, and I was feeling really antisocial that day, and I didn't really want to talk to anybody, but I went in there and talked to my coworkers for an hour to get Twilight, and it was a sacrifice, and I just needed you guys to know. So I just got to the scene where they're in biology and they're looking through the microscopes, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised and pleased because it doesn't do that whole thing that they do in the movie where they're like, anaphase, can I check it? Yeah, like I said, because I really hate that in the movie. So it just got better. The teacher came over and was like, oh, you guys finished the lab really early. Edward, did you not let Bella have a turn with the microscope? And he's like, actually, she identified 3 of the 5 slides or whatever, and I'm like so pleased. So in the movie, one of the things that I hate the most about Edward is that he acts like he's so much smarter than her, and he's like really condescending about it, and that's like just a pet peeve of mine. And like so far he hasn't done that. Granted, I'm on page 32, so I mean it could get worse, but as of right now, like, I like Book Edward much better. Another thing that I'm really appreciating about Book Edward is that he's not doing that whole thing that movie Edward did, where he would like approach her on purpose and be super friendly to her in the beginning, and then be like, don't be friends with me. I don't know, maybe I really like Book Edward, I don't know. I'm only on page 50, so there's plenty of time for him to make me super angry. And I know what'll happen. Okay, so this doesn't have anything to do with the book really at all, but the character Tyler Crowley, who's the guy who almost hit her on the ice in his truck or whatever, for whatever reason my brain keeps reading his name as Tyler Oakley, probably because it's like 3 in the morning, but it's making this much more entertaining for me just pretending like it is Tyler Oakley. So I know I was just sitting here saying that Book Edward is a lot better than movie Edward in the mood swings department, and he really is so far. But that's not to say that he doesn't have hella mood swings. Like, she's just understandably upset with him, and he will, like, be laughing, and then all of a sudden she'll say the wrong thing, and he gets all scary and mean, and, like, it's like I was kind of forgetting that Edward's a super emotionally abusive character while I was reading it, because I kind of you know, it was nice at the beginning, but now I'm kind of starting to remember, like, oh yeah, that guy sucks. Yeah, I want to retract my previous statement about Edward not doing that on again, off again thing about being friends, because he did it. I just needed to be patient. So, one thing that's really bothering me about the writing is her use of italics. Usually, that doesn't bother me too bad. I know it's a huge pet peeve of some people, but I'm chill, you know, I don't care. But there's so many, and they're in the wrong places. Like, don't tell me how to read. Let me show you this. So, like, on these 2 pages, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4. This one bothers me because I want to say, oh, thanks, now that that's all cleared up. Not, oh, thanks, now that that's all cleared up. Like, that feels weird. I don't like that. Like, let me read the way I want to. And then there's another one. Stop. Oh, there's another one. Stop. Another thing that I'm enjoying about Book Edward as opposed to Movie Edward is that Book Edward actually has a sense of humor. And it's really refreshing. I mean, he's still weird and creepy, and he still makes me mad, but at least he's kind of funny. He just got mad at her because she said she could smell blood, and he's like, people can't smell blood. Yes, they can. One of the complaints that I hear a lot about Bella is that she doesn't have a personality, but I want to disagree. So far, she does have a personality. It's just that her personality is like pissed off and unenthused. Which, I mean, I'm pissed off and unenthused all the time, so I get it. I know I already talked about the italics, but like, I liked it more than I should. That's just unnatural. I don't like that. Why did you have to put that there? Just let me read. Stop. Okay, so now we're at the part where I'm starting to hate Edward. He just like dragged her to his car, and the whole time she was like, let me go, I don't want to get in your car, and he like ignores her and doesn't let her go after she says stop. Like, she just fainted at school, and he's trying to like protect her by dragging her around after she's feeling faint. What the fuck? I remember thinking one time when I was watching the movie that it was nice that the side characters, like the other students at least, were kind of racially diverse. Like, not the main characters, obviously they're all white except for Jacob, but like at least you know, the students in the school were kind of racially diverse. So I was hoping it would be that way in the book, but she never actually mentions anyone's ethnicity, so I guess that they all could just be white in the book, and that's kind of disappointing, but I mean. So Jacob Black has a sister named Rebecca. Rebecca Black. What bothers me so much is that Bella is clearly smart. She's clearly not a stupid person. It seems like she has a good head on her shoulders. You know, she's a feminist. She's talking about how she's writing her essay over Shakespeare's treatment of female characters and stuff. You know, like, she seems like a cool chick. So why does she make the decisions that I know she makes later on? He's like, sometimes I have a problem with my temper, Bella. Girl, you need to run. You need to get out of there. Get out. Alright, so you know how earlier I was saying that maybe Book Edward was much better than Movie Edward, and he seemed a lot nicer and I liked him a lot more? That's dead. I hate Edward, and he can catch these hands. Alright, so one thing that's kind of making me sad as I'm reading this is I'm realizing that Bella, like, has depression, and she's getting taken advantage of, and she's in a hard place in her life. She's only 17 years old. I feel like lots of people kind of almost victim blame Bella. I feel like I hear that a lot. Maybe not so much anymore because this book isn't really fresh on anyone's mind. But I remember when it came out and people finally started to hate it, to see past the fun. A lot of people just really hated Bella, and I agree she's not like a great role model, but she clearly just needs help, you know? And like, she just seems like a normal girl who is trying to go to high school. She's just had to move away from her mom. She's living in a place where there's not a lot of sunshine, which can really negatively affect you if you're not used to that. And then she's never had a boyfriend before. She doesn't talk too much to her dad. I mean, she's friendly with her dad, but this guy comes along and he's nice to her and he fools her into thinking that he's a good person. And plus, he's a vampire, and it's not like she can leave. He would just kill her, right? So, I mean, I feel bad for Bella. I wondered if it should bother me that he was following me. Instead, I felt a strange surge of pleasure. Girl, what? I am very disturbed by the fact that he just outright tells her that he can read minds, and she's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. She doesn't react at all. Like, why? Here's my dog. Roxy. Hey! I hate him so much. I've gotten to the point where this book isn't even relaxing to read anymore because I'm just on edge because I hate him so much. Like, he gets angry over the simplest things. Like, she'll compliment him and he gets angry. She can't win. He's listening in on her conversation with her friends. Like, he can't read her mind, sure, but he can read the minds of everyone around her. He's invading her privacy. He gets mad when she asks questions about him, but he can drill her all day long because he's pissed that he can't read her mind. He won't leave her alone. Like, he drives her to school every day, and he eats lunch with her, and he's, like, successfully isolating her from all of her friends and bossing her around. So he's making it to where she's kind of becoming codependent, and he gets mad at her for that. Like, he invites her to go hiking so that she can see him sparkle or whatever. And then when she's just fine with that, he, like, yells at her and he's like, what are you, suicidal? Like, back off. I hate Edward. I hate him so much. He psyched me out because in the first, like, 60 pages, I thought he was going to be really cool in the books. Like, he seemed like he was going to be really nice. I don't remember this. So I read this the first time, like I said, when I was 12, and I don't remember him being this much of an asshole. Like, I don't understand the appeal of him at all. Like, earlier she was saying that, let me find this line. And what was my other choice? To cut him out of my life? Intolerable. Besides, since I'd come to Forks, it really seemed like my life was about him. But, like, okay, so he's hot. I understand that. In my mind, he's pretty cute looking, you know? Okay. And he's a vampire. That's kind of cool. That's alluring, you know? It'd be cool to be dating somebody who is supernatural, I guess. But other than that, he's just an asshole. He watches her while she sleeps, and, like, earlier he got mad at her for asking what he was doing at night because he can't sleep. So she was like, oh, what'd you do last night? Just, like, casual. And he got mad, and I just remembered it's probably because he spent the night watching her sleep. Like, I feel like cold sweats as I'm reading this. Like, it doesn't feel like a romance at all. I'm so mad. And, like, I read this when I was 12. Everyone in my class in 6th grade read this book. Like, there were so many girls and some guys who just wanted this relationship. Like, this is just what they wanted. Good morning. I wish this book were about Carlisle. Alright. Edward was born in 1901, right? And this book came out in 2005, right? That's what I keep saying. So, Edward's 104. So he's an old ass man. And I was like, you know, that's gross and weird. But maybe since he turned into a vampire when he was 17, he feels like he's 17. And I don't know why, because it's not like he's Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender. He wasn't frozen in ice or anything. He's been aging and maturing this whole time. But I was thinking, you know, maybe vampire years are weird. You know, it's like dog years versus human years. Maybe he's, you know, young-ish. But I've just learned that that's not the case. Because, okay, so Edward just called Jacob a child. And Bella's like, he's only like 2 years younger than me. And Edward, I kid you not, goes, oh, I know. Could you write a creepier piece of dialogue? Is that even possible? Why would she make him smile at her creepily and go, oh, I know? Like, he's just admitting to the fact that this is weird and creepy. And he's fine with that. What the fuck am I reading? She just finally confronted him about his mood swings and his anger issues, and he was like, oh, don't you understand? I'm not angry with you. I'm angry at myself because I love you so much. This entire vlog is just me shaking my head in defeat because I don't have words. I just recently got out of a book slump that had lasted the whole entire first half of the summer, and I read The Hate U Give, and my book slump was cured, and Twilight has just brought it back. I have like less than 100 pages left, but I don't want to read them. So I guess I'm just gonna try to speed read these last couple of pages tonight, just power through it, and let my anger at the fact that I made myself read this just kind of propel me forward until it's over. Also, I'm just gonna say it, I ship Bella and Alice. It just works. It doesn't make any sense that they're not together. They should be. That's none of my business. I will never understand why they didn't just fight what's his face, James, in the clearing while they were playing baseball. Like, Edward's reasoning is, oh, I don't want to fight him in front of you because you could get hurt. But honestly, that would have been so much easier than going through all this. Like, this is all so pointless. Okay? Because it's 3 vampires against 7? And also, Laurent probably wouldn't even help the other 2 fight. He'd probably be like, oh, I'm gonna go mind my own business over there. He seems like a decent guy. So it would only be 2 vampires against 7. It would be so easy. It would save so much time. I'm pissed. In the movie, the end was like somewhat cool. There was a fight, and Edward fought James, and it was a whole dramatic thing as he was sucking the blood out of her and everything. It's the only thing that was keeping me reading this book. I was like, maybe the end is going to be cool. It wasn't. She was in like a faint state the whole time. She didn't know what was going on. She was like, oh, I smell gasoline. Oh, my hand is burning. Oh, Edward's sucking on my wrist there. That's interesting. I'm Who let me read this? Who let me read this and why? Well, that was that. In conclusion, thanks, I hated it. Thank you so much for watching me endure this book, and if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to click that like button or subscribe to my channel. If you have read Twilight, which I'm sure you have if you've ever had any interest to at all, please feel free to let me know what you thought of it in the comments, and I will see you all again very soon with a new moon video. So, bye!